about how they feel about the military council, which, as you know, has taken a number of steps to show that they're committed to a peaceful democratic process, a transition to democracy. Do the people there trust the military council? Are they satisfied with the pace of change?
Well, so far, in at least the past week that has gone, the people here believe the military hasn't put a foot wrong. They are very happy with the communiques that have come from the Supreme Council of Armed Forces. They're happy about the fact that the Constitution has been frozen. They're extremely happy about the individuals that have been put in to redraft a proposed constitution, particularly that the armed forces have come out and said the identity of this country, Egypt, obviously there's a clause in the Constitution which says that Egypt is classified as a Muslim country, and therefore the people here are very happy that this clause will not even be discussed. In fact, the only clauses so far that have been put on the table are ones to do with the presidential decrees, ones to do with the authority of the parliament and how someone can vote and be elected. So far there is that trust between the military, and I would say, as someone who has been covering this country for many years, I've never seen the military so popular. I mean, speaking to elder generations, they tell me about the glory days of the military during the 1973 war. Well, it seems that the military of this day and age has at least that same popularity, if not more, without entering a battle. So there is a lot of faith, there is a lot of optimism that has been put into the military, and the people here seem to be going about their lives with the backing of the military. Having said that, there is still that urge by the military that people shouldn't hold these protests day in, day out. The economy has suffered to a certain extent with regards to the city being put on standstill, and therefore the organizers saying that they will only hold major demonstrations on a Friday, when it's traditionally a weekend here, and that is also the easiest way to get as many people, because obviously Friday prayers by their nature brings a large congregation.
Thank you very much. Jamal Al-Shail reporting there live from Egypt's second largest city, Alexandria, on the so-called Day of Victory. Meanwhile, supporters of Egypt's ousted president have also staged a small rally in Cairo. Many wore black clothing to mourn Hosni Mubarak's departure. They say they're not happy with the way the former leader was removed from power. Now on to other news. In Yemen, a so-called Friday of Rage has drawn thousands of protesters. 3 people have been killed across several cities. One of the deaths took place after a hand grenade was thrown at protesters in the city of Taiz. It's the 8th straight day of demonstrations in that country. Well, AlJazeera's Hashem Ehalbara is on the line with us right now from the Yemeni capital, Sana'a. Hashem, just bring us up to date for us with the latest this Friday.
Well, the latest we're getting now is that we understand that one pro-democracy protester was killed in the city of Aden in clashes with security forces, and 5 injured. This comes after 25 pro-democracy protesters were injured when a hand grenade was thrown at a gathering which was asking for the ouster of President Ali Abdullah Saleh. This eyewitnesses are saying that a car was driving by and somebody threw that hand grenade targeting the pro-democracy protesters. Here in the capital, Sana'a, there are still clashes in different parts of the city between these activists and government loyalists. So what you're having in Yemen over the last few days, although some of the crowds are not really that large in numbers, but the situation is extremely tense given the daily and ongoing clashes and frictions between the government supporters and the pro-democracy reformists. I think that we will continue our fight for as long as it takes, despite all the sacrifices that we have to pay to make significant change, to enact new laws in Yemen and to see this regime go.
So most of the violence, Hashem, has opposed the pro-government supporters to the anti-government demonstrators. What about the authorities? How are the security forces handling this situation? What are they doing to keep these two sides apart?
Well, pro-democracy protesters are saying that plainclothes police are trying to blend in with government loyalist targets the leaders of the pro-democracy movement using batons and sticks. The security forces at some points use live ammunition, live rounds to disperse the crowds in different parts of the country, particularly in Aden and here in the capital, Sana'a. So the feeling among the pro-democracy protesters is that the security forces, instead of preventing the government loyalists from attacking them, they're just not really helping in the situation. This is something that we've been hearing from time to time here in the capital and also across the country.
Okay, Hashim Ahelbara with the latest there from Sana'a in Yemen. Let's take you back now to Egypt. As I mentioned earlier, supporters of the ousted President Hosni Mubarak are also staging a small rally in Cairo. We've got a correspondent on the ground there who's following that rally for us. Shireen Tadros joins us on the line from Cairo. Shireen, tell us what you've seen during this demonstration and what the mood was like there.
It's a pretty somber atmosphere. I would say no more than 1,000 people have turned up, and they're here really to support Hosni Mubarak. They're saying that they're not against the revolution and they're actually for change, and that they supported the revolution in the first few days. But what they didn't like was the way in which, in their words, Hosni Mubarak was humiliated by the protesters in Liberation Square, and they're here to rally for him and to show him that he still has support amongst the people. Now, that doesn't mean that they want to see him back in power. In fact, whenever I asked that question to any one of those people in the crowd, they said absolutely not. We are pro-change. But what they feel is that the president was humiliated in front of his people and the international community, and they're not happy about that.
Okay, Shireen Tadros with the latest there from Cairo. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now to Bahrain, where hundreds have taken to the streets in support of the country's ruling monarchy. Bahrain state television showed people waving flags and holding up pictures of the king as they marched in the capital, Manama. Well, this came as thousands attended funerals for 4 people killed when the country's security forces attacked pro-democracy demonstrators on Thursday. Some mourners called for an end to the ruling monarchy. The country's top Shia cleric, meanwhile, has described Thursday's deadly attack on protesters as, quote, a massacre. Well, let's now speak to our correspondent on the ground there in Manama. We're not naming him, of course, for his own safety. Just bring us up to speed with what's been happening. The pro-government supporters also taking to the streets this Friday.
We could use it as an opener.
Our correspondent is not there yet. Of course, we'll go back to him as soon as he's back on the line to tell us there about the situation in Bahrain. And right now, let's move on to Egypt. Not Egypt, Libya, in fact. Muammar Gaddafi has rallied his supporters in Tripoli late Thursday. Now, we can't independently verify online videos, but they appear to show a different story of mass anti-government rallies. Caroline Malone reports.